Hi, everyone. Welcome to my episode 3 of season 1, Uncommon Stories of Common People. So, today I'm in conversation with a very young entrepreneur, YouTuber, Shirene Sanjay. She's also a student and she leaves us with a very nice message at the end of the conversation. And that message is there is no particular resource set in life to success. There's never a toolbox of success. There's always a tool set, and there's one tool in that set, and that's called the first step. The first step, which each one of us is capable of, no matter what resources we are surrounded with, no matter where we are in life. So join me today with Shireen Sanjay to take this first step forward in our future towards our dreams. Thank you. So, hi, Shireen. Thank you so
Hi.
much for coming in for our podcast. And as the name says, as you know, it's Uncommon Stories of Common People. I know that you have you're a very young girl, so it's very not so common for me to call very young people, because I always feel, or actually the norm is that the young people may not have a very interesting or a deep story to share. But I do understand that when I see your channel, as I understand as a professional how you are, probably there is something beneath the surface. So, what I understood from your channel that you're a student, you're combining the faculties of health industry, of music industry, and probably something else also that you pursue in artists in the field of
Yeah.
artists. So you're combining multiple things in one, and what brings it all together, and how? What was the originating point of all this? Tell us
So
more basically about yourself.
yeah, talking about my music journey, basically I started singing in the Gurdwara in middle school. And this was like during all the functions and all the festivals and everything. Me and my brother used to go for practice to the Gurdwara beforehand. And like I remember all the parties used to say ki, before the prashad, before you get the prashad, you can't sing. So we used to go get the prashad and then go and sit on the stage and sing. And I mean, ever since then, my grandmom was always like, that I have a voice like Celine Dion. And she used to compare me to people like Harshdeep Kaur. And to me at that point, I was like, okay, that's a bit far. But, when she had this vision for me, she always said that, one day I'll be singing, my heart will go on a big stage, or like I'll be singing like Harshdeep Kaur, because Harshdeep Kaur also, if I'm not mistaken, started her journey singing Gurbanis.
Yeah.
So all of these things eventually, slowly build up when I was in high school, and that was ninth grade. So that's when I released my first song on YouTube. That's when we started our YouTube channel. So the first ever recording was November 2017. And my grandmom was the happiest with this decision because she knew that whatever happens, this channel is going to go very far. And now, 5 years later, I'm almost close to, I think, 10 million views overall on the channel and almost 30,000 subscribers. So it's been a very nice journey. And yeah, and I think every year you learn something new. All the feedbacks that you get from people, you keep growing with those feedbacks. And yeah, I'm just very grateful for everything.
So did you just say that you have like over 10 million views and you have close to 30,000 subscribers?
Yeah,
How old are you?
I'm 19.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So probably this sounds like an achievement because obviously there wouldn't be I don't relate generally anything to age because I just feel that that's just the number of candles on your cake. At the end of the day, it's your journey, it's your wisdom in your head, it's everything else that accounts to a person's personality. So yeah, I mean, great going. You're a very again. I would say that I don't want to mention age at all the points, but it's a very young journey. Usually, I would like to highlight on when you are today and you look back. If you see 5 years into a profession, from the professional grounds, you will always call it as an established person in the field.
Right.
So, as an established artist, when you look back, is there any particular virtue that you feel has grown stronger over years?
So I mean, from the time that I started, like in ninth grade, releasing the first song and maybe not even seeing like 5 subscribers, 10 subscribers. We used to celebrate every small milestone. We, including me, my mom, and my brother. we used to be like, oh, 100 subscribers, we cut a cake. When it reaches 1K, we cut a cake. When it's 5K, we cut a cake. So I remember celebrating these small, small milestones. And I feel like over time, it just teaches you to be patient in life, because whatever has to come for you, it'll come. You don't have to go running for it. And when I started the channel, I wasn't thinking that, oh, one day I'm going to be working in, whatever big studio or whatever. But everything comes at its own time. And especially when you're working in this field, I feel like since it's creative, every individual artist has their own take on creativity. So every person would have their own version of creativity, and everyone has their own, making their own style. And learn to start to respect that. Like, you learn to be in harmony with each other. So in my perspective, just in my humble opinion, like when I release songs or when I'm recording covers, I'm not thinking that, oh, I'm going to do a better version of this. I'm thinking that I'm paying a tribute to whichever artist has done this recording in the first place. So, and then, when people start to see your perspective in the same way, when the audience realizes that, she's trying to be her own self in the music that she's creating, that's when it strikes. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned in the past years. Because I mean, in the beginning, you're recording a song, it's fun. You get your classmates, because those were your subscribers in the beginning, your classmates, your teachers. So they'd obviously cheer you on no matter what. But then when other people start to see you, they give their feedback. They say that, oh, because I remember I used to record videos and I used to be acting as if it's a movie. So I'd be moving my hands a lot. I'd be doing a lot of extra stuff. And a lot of people told me that when you move too much, people are not focused on your voice. So then these tiny, tiny feedbacks, and then you change the way you do your videos. You change the way you are performing. It's a performance at the end of the day. So all of this over time, it's a process. And I feel like to be a part of it is just another feeling.
I like the way that you said, I really love the way that you portrayed that I'm paying a tribute when I'm doing a cover.
Yeah,
It's a
of
beautiful
course.
way of saying, and it's also very nice to hear from a very young head that I'm not trying to sabotage somebody's creativity. I'm not saying that I'm creating a better version of yours. I'm just giving my outlook towards your creativity.
Of course,
So
yeah.
that's very nice to hear. But is there anything about the industry, like these are all the bright spots, right? But there isn't any career in the world which does not come with the lows. So do you think this particular field of music also has a low, or is it always the high?
No, of course, everything has its ups and downs. And I feel like in this industry, when you become a part of it at a later stage, so I only came into the industry per se in 2017. But of course, there are bigger companies, there are more established labels who have been there for a longer time. So they know the industry, they have the resources to create something magical that we listen to now.
Yeah.
So, of course, when you create a more smaller, tinier version, like a cover version of this, it may not be as appreciated as
Right.
the original. So there are times when you might, get copyright strikes, or the song might get taken down, or something of that sort. And when that happens, you just have to. I feel like it's a.
Did it happen
not
to
a,
you?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it happens to every artist, and it's very normal.
So when you say taken down, means it's like gone from where? From your YouTube, or from where does it go?
Other platforms, like you upload it to distributors like Spotify or TikTok or Instagram, just for because those are the platforms nowadays that get a lot of reach.
Right.
So when you upload it to these places, and of course it's not your own song, there are people who've done it before, so it may get taken down,
Okay.
depending on the amount of people that like it. So if
Okay.
more people like it, then it gives less importance to the original. That is what
Okay.
happens.
So it becomes like a challenging, not really
Not
per se challenge,
challenging.
but
It's not. That's not the intention. But it becomes like a challenge, as if your song is doing better than theirs.
okay,
So
got you.
something
Okay.
like that. And I think when that happens, I wouldn't call it a block. It's more like for me, it was a motivation to start doing original songs. So
Yeah.
like when you have this it's not a block, just like a small obstacle in the way that, like, when I posted it and I couldn't post anymore, for a second I was like, why is this happening? Like, if this was really meant to be, if we've already come so far, why is it coming up now? Like, why can I not post it? Why are people being so mean? These are thoughts that come to your head. Like, why are they taking it down? I put so much effort, blah, blah, blah. But then I feel like you always have to realize that there's a bigger picture. And when I mean, my mom didn't even know she could write lyrics until this obstacle came through. So when this happened and we went to our my mentor, Mr. Srijit, when we went to him and we said, I don't know what to do anymore. So we decided, let's go for originals. And that day, I think when we came back, even my mom was stressed. She's like, I don't know what to do. And she came up with the lyrics overnight. So when things are meant to be, they just fall into place. And if there is an obstacle, you just have to not call it an obstacle. Instead, find another path to it.
So basically.
Reroute your way so that you can still reach your goal at the end of the day, because that is the main purpose. There are going to be stops in the middle, but if you stop at those stops, you're just taking longer to get to your destination. That's all. Yeah.
There's a very nice saying by Elif Shafak. I think when I read your entire resume, you've read her unwritten books also.
Yeah.
So I think she says something about this
She says something about patience, actually, which is one of the biggest virtues in the music industry, being patient to, reach your goal or whatever. She says that, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble remembering it, but patience is not about, having passively enduring something. It's about being farsighted enough to see the end result of your process. So seeing your final destination. And she also says, this book was actually from Rumi's quotes. That's what the book was all about. So she says that lovers of God, they never lose patience because they know that it takes time for a crescent moon to become full.
Wow.
Yeah. So...
Wow, that's deep. That's very
Yes.
deep. Yes. Okay, yeah. I mean... Yeah, it takes a moment to understand this, but yes, it's very deep. It takes patience for the crescent moon to become the full moon.
What my take on this saying was that if you truly have faith in a higher power, you would not lose that patience to reach your destination. It's blinded faith that whatever comes in your way, you'll get your answers from anywhere. From anywhere. It could be on a car, it could be on a billboard, and maybe it's just a random sign that you see every day, but when you need it, it'll strike you then. And I'm a very firm believer of that. So when things like this happen, you just have to take a break, look around, and you'll find your answers. It's very simple. Like in the gap year that I took, I think we'll get to that in a while, but I had taken a course on hypnotherapy, and that basically says that all your answers lie within you. You don't need to look for external sources. When you truly want to find something, it'll come to you.
So when you say gap year, it means that you took a gap from what?
This was after COVID, so I feel like...
But COVID was a gap, right?
Well,
Anyways.
yeah, I mean, but COVID was a gap where people weren't prioritizing themselves.
They were forced, kind of.
I wouldn't use the word forced, but it's more like circumstantial situation. Like it was more like a time of the year, or like that moment of time where people had a lot of things to do and they had to prioritize their health. So their health comes as not a primary thing, but as a more secondary, not even secondary. Sometimes people were just focusing on, getting back on track, getting their job back on track, getting their life back on track, that they forgot the amount of stress they might be taking in that process. Yeah. So I feel like for me, that COVID year was my 12th grade, final grade.
Wow.
And that's when we had our board exams. And I remember that the whole process got, very delayed because naturally in India, the cases were much worse than it was here, touch wood. But everything got so delayed that even our studies in the process got pushed until June, July, I think. And that whole time was very stressful for me. So I remember losing myself in that year. the person that I used to be in like ninth, 10th, 11th, like, very cheerful, happy. I started losing that part of me. And I was like, this is not how it's supposed to be. So that's when I went into neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, and every possible course on like
Inner
human
work.
psychology, yeah, inner work, finding your inner child again. These are the kind of things that I went for because my mom had already done them before. And I was lucky enough to have the professor right there in front of me. Her name is Miss Rita. So she took me on this beautiful journey of finding myself again. And I think in that whole year, I realized that um, the person that I used to be in ninth and 11th was very, you know, out to get everything in a way that, like, if there's an invitation, I would go. I would have that fear of missing out, which is a very common term.
FOMO.
FOMO, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a very common term back then. Like every event, every party, every gathering, I would be there just to be on the pictures. Even if in that moment I knew it wasn't filling something inside, it's filling another part of me that's there for the event.
Something like attention seeking, or something like
I
not
wouldn't
like going with the crowd. You
kind
don't
of
want to be left
yeah.
alone.
You kind
Yeah.
of be the flow. You're just in it,
Yeah.
and there's no real meaning behind it. You're just there, which I think it's very normal for teenagers, and
I
it
like the
should
way again you said that you were being in the flow, but you were
yeah,
not being the flow.
exactly. So
So NLP help you to differentiate this.
yes.
So now you decide where you want to go
Yeah, and now
rather
I
than
realize
being
that after that year, my entire aura, my energy changed for the better, of course. And I wasn't looking for, like, when I went to university, I wasn't looking for people who would complement that. It was more like your energy and your entire surroundings change, and those people come to you on their own. So I didn't have to go to any gatherings to find people. I didn't have to go to parties. Instead, I was just in my room and people came to me. And I think that's a point where you should reach, where everyone should reach, because that's when you realize the real, importance of things around you. That's when you find genuine friendships. That's when you find genuine connections, lifelong.
there's a very nice saying that when you're not looking for completion, that's when you get the people who complement you.
Yeah.
So you need to be surrounded by the people who complement your virtues rather than completing some emptiness of yours.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's beautifully put up. So, when it comes to uh, unspoken parts of your personality, do you think that there is some language which is not a part of your original personality that gets spoken through music?
Um, Well, I do believe in love languages actually, and one of my highest ones is acts of service. When
Okay.
I do things for people, it makes me feel happy, and like spending quality time is a huge thing for me. Receiving words of affirmation is a huge thing for me. So when I am in the studio, me doing my work, and the songs that are sang, if you've noticed, are very they're very sentimental in a way that they really touch your soul. Like the
They
lyrics,
connect to some
yeah,
emotion.
they connect
Okay.
to an emotion within you.
Okay.
So for me, when I sing that song, it's more like affirming myself. It's words of affirmation that I give myself. So any song that you sing, I usually tend to find a deeper meaning, and I realize that I usually record in the nighttime. So my mind is anyway in a very high spiritual, mindset,
Space.
in a
Yeah.
very spiritual space. So when I sing the song, I feel like I connect to a different energy whatsoever, like a whole different energy. And so that's me giving myself that words of affirmation. And giving that same energy to people or the audience is my acts of service. So when I'm able to give them something that, and the feedback that I get is usually that your voice touches our soul, or like we feel good listening to it, or my kids go to sleep with your gurbanis. Like these are the things that I hear. And it's
Has there
just a,
been any specific compliment on your YouTube which you remember, which touched you? Like when you say that your voice touches people, and that's the feedback that you get. Has there been any specific comment from any of your listeners?
I mean, of course, during COVID, there's a lot of people who lost their family members. And I know on one of the songs, Noore Khuda, which was actually an original of ours, I was just going through the comments the other day, and there are people who have actually said that they've heard this song over and over on repeat just to help them get through that pain of COVID.
Wow.
So I mean, when I'm reading those comments, it's a huge deal for me. And I feel like these things, it completes my entire purpose of, my being, which is like acts of service. And these things, I wouldn't really call them service. I feel like it's more like being there for each other in whatever way possible. So
Beautiful.
whoever you are supporting, it can be anyone, but you're still supporting a soul on the same planet. So, yeah.
I'm, during any talks, I'm always talking, but I'm losing my words right now because this is intense. We started with music, this is going somewhere else. So I'm very impressed, very, very impressed with the way you're putting up things that we are all here for a purpose, and we all need to know that we are not alone. We are not secluded, not in our happiness, not in our sadness. We need to be there for each other. This is a planet where we need to share and care. It's just not
Also,
about.
being in your own path. Like, you still follow your own life journey, but obviously, you're not going to walk that path alone. You're going to meet people in the way, people are going to leave you in the way. But I think it all complements one another. Everyone learns from each other, and that's important. So.
Important, and more than anything, you should be open to that learning.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you're not open, then that learning will just pass you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's very deep now. Can I just ask you something lighter? What's your favorite holiday movie?
Oh, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. It's it's about these three friends who go on a road trip. And
I know the movie.
okay. Well, yeah, it's just a whole movie based on like
How many times have you watched?
I can recite the dialogues by heart.
Ah, okay. So
So
100 times, more, maybe
probably more, but yeah, it's
Good.
I mean, it talks about such like new experiences, new adventures, and the whole idea of the movie is just fun, and I love it. Anytime I could watch that movie.
So apart from music, apart from your healthcare industry, what else are your hobbies? Do you do something else, or this is like enough?
I mean, I think most of my hobbies are very artistically inclined. I mean, I remember my mom, me, and my brother over the weekends, we'd actually sketch the most random things on our sketchbooks. Big Ben, Eiffel Tower, and most of the times, I mean, me and my brother are still young, so we don't really get the proportions right. So our mom would be correcting it, but we'd be like, "Oh, we made that," and then there's a place, Ceramic Cafe in Dubai, and we'd go there most of the weekends just to paint. So all my hobbies have been very like artistic, and even now during the gap year, I went back into reading, and I've learned a lot from books. And even now when I'm painting, I didn't realize, but I started painting stuff that's very philosophical. Like recently I had done a painting of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, who is one of the gurus from Sikh culture. So like, these small little things, like you realize only later that you're slowly getting inclined to a whole other version of yourself. So I remember going through my sketchbook and I saw pictures of like fashion designers, because I used to draw clothes, and then cars, and then animals, and then buildings, and then slowly went to different like
Shiva.
Which went to Shiva, which went to different characters from TV shows. So when I see my sketchbook, it's more like I'm seeing different phases of my life. And now I see this whole other evolved version, completely different from what I started off drawing clothes.
So when we talk about a story, like, I mean, what is it from your journey that you think can inspire someone's life?
That's a good.
What is the good learning that you have from your own self? Probably it could be the family you come from, it could be the the school you went to, there's always something that you've taken out and you may want to share it with our listeners.
So I don't think that there's just one learning from your life. Every phase that you go through has a different learning. And I think when you truly grow is when you combine all those learnings together towards the end. So I would say, like, in my high school years, my learning was being there for everyone, but just being there for everyone, being a good friend, being a good daughter, being a good student in school. All of these were learnings from that phase. In my gap year, I learned to prioritize myself, putting
Right.
myself first, being there for myself, taking care of my health, putting mental health first. And now I've learned to combine those two, being there for people while prioritizing myself. So I feel like,
Beautiful.
yeah, and you have to trust the process throughout. So whatever life is throwing at you, it's more like a learning, and you have to find that learning and move on.
Deep. Nice. Um, Field of operation. How do you actually, do you segregate your fields of operation or do you say that you're integrating them? Like when I say fields of operation, it means like you as a healthcare professional, yourself as a musician, and yourself as a student.
Well, I got lucky enough that everything got integrated with each other.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd be all over the place right now.
So you say you practice with integration, not segregation.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
And how does the integration happen?
Well, in music, you're using creation to create your music.
Right.
You're using energy work and energy work to deliver that content to your audience.
Right.
And in the healthcare sector that I'm working in, which is dentistry, there is a part of it known as manual dexterity.
Right.
So in that, it's all about crafting, creating. So I was very lucky when I found out that this is a sector of dentistry. I was like, this is something I've been doing since I was a kid. So, and another huge part of dentistry is communication.
Right.
And, when
So
you
you'll
have...
sing and communicate to your patients.
That's funny. But I think it's more like learning to be able to talk to people,
Right.
when you, and in the psychology year, I'm going to call it psychology year, in that year that I took, I learned to speak to people, like, understand their feelings. So when a patient comes to you with a problem, I'm not going to be listening. I'm actually going to be, it's called third level listening. So you listen, understand, and communicate with that person. So they don't feel like their problem went unheard or a part of their problem went missing or something
Right.
like that. So I feel like everything that I have done up to this point, everything just comes together when I do my studies. So it doesn't feel like I'm doing something different. It's more like it's a part of it.
I will ask you the last question.
Yes.
So, when your listeners are listening to your channel, apart from the music, apart from the beautiful voice, apart from the soul connection and the deep connection and, touching that deep emotion in them, is there any message for the young, the younger, I wouldn't say young, the younger artists who may want to take your journey, who may want to feel inspired by your achievements? Is there something that you want to tell them? Do you have like a toolbox that you can say that, okay, follow this tool set and then you're okay?
I would say there's never a toolbox. It's more like your first step. It doesn't matter what the size of your first step is. It could be from ground zero to ground 10 or ground zero to point 0.5, 0.25, whatever it is. Suppose if you want to pursue singing and you just buy a laptop to play the music or you buy a speaker to play your karaoke, it doesn't matter. It's a first step. I started singing while playing music backing tracks on my laptop, recording from my phone and singing out live. And even though the quality was nothing compared to what it is today, it's a first step. People know from there that you can sing. And eventually, when you start getting bigger and bigger, they will see your growth. They don't see that, they won't go back to your videos and say, look what she did. They will only see, look where she was and look what she's doing now.
Beautiful. So it's always, there's no toolbox, but just one tool in the box that
One
says
tool.
that take the first step.
Yeah.
So no matter where your resources are today, trust the universe to amalgamate those resources in future. So
Absolutely.
just take the first step. There's a very nice saying by Paulo Coelho. I'm a big reader. I read quite a lot. So he says in his book Alchemist that your journey in the unknown is always going to be unknown, but your first step is what you know. Don't
Yeah.
be reluctant of that first step. So nice sharing all this. Honestly, I did not feel during the whole conversation that I'm talking to a person almost lesser than half my age. So it's very interesting. I'm very impressed to see actually that the younger generation, they have so much exposures. They have so much. It's just what you expose yourself to. You need to be
Absolutely.
selective of where you pick your information, where you choose, what you choose. And I'm so glad to say that you've chosen well.
Thank you.
Good luck for everything,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching, for listening, and I'm sure that everyone has taken the message as well. Keep subscribing, keep joining in, and when you have a story that can be a part of my Uncommon Stories, please do write to me on my email and write to us on our channel so that we can contact you back. Thank you.